Okay, I'm on the ball. I know what I'm doing. Shut up, you guys. I know how to start a stream real good. Well, frazzled because I was trying to. Oh, I don't even. I even know how to mute my own stream so it doesn't echo. Trust me, I'm a professional. Yeah, I was trying to get the points thing working with Streamlabs, where you guys can earn points by watching, and then those points would help you win stuff. It's gonna be great once I figure it out. But 15 minutes is apparently not long enough for me to figure it out. Darkwing Angel, hello! Welcome. Haven't seen you in a bit, which means that this is probably almost exactly in the same spot you remember it last time. Because I go slow. You know what they say about slow and steady wins the race. And then, you know, suddenly you're 43 and all the 19 and 20-year-olds are way ahead of you. Okay, so I'm so close. So I need to make these good. I'm not sure how to do that yet. There wasn't a base last time you saw it? You were probably under the influence of some kind of exotic medication, because it has always had a base. As they say, all your base belong to us. Let's get down into this, shall we? Trying to figure out what I should call my loyalty points. What is on brand? So if you watch my channel, you're earning these points, and they could be called anything from Energon to Noodles to Josh Bucks. I thought maybe hearts would be nice, maybe arts would be nice. Give me your ideas. What do you feel like earning by watching this wonderful stream? Mikion, hello, welcome. The base has evolved over time. I keep making it more and more dimensional. I made one part dimensional and then the other part felt flat, so I made the other part dimensional, and then it became so dimensional that the first part I made seemed flat, and so I redid the first part, which is these rings. Not sure if I want to be sanding or scraping. The problem with sanding is I'm almost definitely going to be messing up the middle beaten metal texture that I made for the middle. In theory, I could just fix that up in any places it got sanded down, in theory. But one thing I learned is that repairing little spots, it ends up rippling like a pebble in a pond, and you end up fixing the thing next to it, and then to blend what you fixed into the area around it, you end up blending more and further and further, and it just becomes a never-ending battle. See, I don't I don't want this to be machine precision looking, because this is supposed to be a giant cast bronze disc that's like 10 feet or 12 feet, something like that, across. And I keep wanting to teach myself metric, so instead I'm going to say 3 meters across. I mean 4 meters across. If I wasn't super bad at math, I'd be a lot better at learning metric. A Josh coin, that's McKeon's vote. I mean, that would work for now. I don't really want my brand to be just like all about me, although it's kind of has to be until I start getting a lot of other top tier talent working with me. One of my missions is to inspire people, so I thought maybe inspirations, although that doesn't really sound like a currency. So far I'm still leaning towards hearts or arts. I think it would be funny to earn arts. Like, I watched Josh Foreman's Twitch stream, and now I have 300 arts. How many arts have you earned lately? And then you get all competitive and cutthroat about getting more arts than other people. AJ Baki, hey, welcome. Says, I think hearts or life points or something, maybe. Is there a type of coin in Telefar you could use? Yeah, I mean, there are, but my worry with those, well, so far the only ones that we've really developed are the coinage of Megaloth Empire, and that's like flowers, crowns, and flags, and like those are just kind of, I don't know, they don't do it for me as far as a channel currency. By the way, I finished your book today, Aletha, and I gave it a review on Audible. So look forward to reading that incredible piece of literature that is my review of your book. I'm not going to talk about it tonight because I want to save that for when you come and visit, and we'll have a little author interview and chat about your book. Because it's my channel and I do what I want. I do what I want. Alright. I probably owe it to myself to at least see what happens when I do a little bit of sanding. Oh. That's right, Aletha. You better be worried. That review could be devastating. Or it could be really nice. You don't know. How quickly are you able to see reviews after they're written? Because I wrote it like, I don't know, 3 hours ago. I don't think I have any reviews of something that I personally did myself. I have a lot of reviews of games that I've worked on with other people, but nothing that is like, this one person did this one thing and here are my thoughts about it. I guess I get a lot of really positive feedback on my YouTube channel, and not much negative. Which book? Magic is to Dance. That is one of your more laterist books, right? I gotta say, I was shocked at the quality of the reader. Like, it was super pro. I don't know why I expected less. I guess just because you're an indie author, you know, and you would expect indie author book to, you know, self-published book to have a certain quality of audio reading that is not competitive with the, you know, all the big names out there. But really seemed like it was. That lady is an excellent reader. Sanding sounds like brushing their teeth. Well, it's probably just in my genetics, because my dad is a dentist, so, you know, makes sense, right? Ah. How much did you end up spending to get that narrator? Because my initial idea was to have my friend read for the Telefar audiobooks. He's got a great voice, but I don't know how good he's going to be on the acting side of things. I think he'll do a good job. But it's also one of those things where, you know, we'll try it out for a chapter or two and put it out there and get feedback. And if everyone is like, it doesn't quite sound pro, then I'll definitely want to go the pro route. But the big advantage to having my friend do it is we can do it in my home and I could give direction the whole time, which I'm all about. And also, like, I really want to do, like, musical interludes and stuff like that. Not in, like, hey, now I'm going to play a song, but in, like, in chapter breaks and between chapters and stuff like that. I would love to have some really professional music commissioned just for the books. I've got so many musician friends that shan't be a problem. Did the 2020 royalty split on Amazon? So for each book sale, we both get 20% of the sale. Huh. And she's willing to do that with a relatively unknown indie author, huh? Yeah, I guess I'm surprised. The caliber of her talent, I would expect that she would only make profit-splitting details or deals with, like, well-known authors. I don't know, maybe the market's just really flooded with voice talent, and so they're kind of taking whatever work they can get. Oh, right. Forgot, I'm not scraping, sanding. Just gotta use this finer sanding paper now. Royalty split on ACX, which is also Amazon. Yeah, I don't know what any of the words and lingo and stuff are yet. I keep hearing it and seeing it, and I think until I go through the process, I'm not really going to retain any of it. Surprised at how easy it was to get her to do my book. H.L. Burke, the gal who recommended her, said usually we have to work really hard to sell our book to a narrator. Yeah, I guess that's what I was expecting. If they're working for a royalty split, they're going to want to know that it's going to sell anything. Like, why would I waste my time, recording for a day or so a book and then get like $3 from it or something? I wonder if maybe your catalog, you've published so many books that maybe that was a good signal to her that it's a good investment. I mean, I assume that they don't read the books that are proposed to them to decide, to base their quality, their just idea of the quality of the work, because that would just be too many things to read. Shane Foreman, hello, good sir. Welcome. Can't wait to see the finished product that Shane's been working on, which is the film co-starring Josh Foreman and Shane Foreman. All the big names. I feel like I'm on a Disneyland ride right now. Letha says, she also said my writing was a lot like H.L. Burke. And I was like, oh, thanks. Compliment to me, but probably an insult to the other author. I don't think I've read H.L. Burke's stuff, so I wouldn't know. Might want to listen to some of her books. She does the current writing style for YA books really well. I recommend her Spell Smith and Carver series. Alright. She'll take that into consideration. Next time I have a Audible credit. I spent my last Audible credit on Magic is to Dance. So it'll have to wait at least a month. I'm really spending too much time on this base that no one's going to notice or care about. It's one of those things where, like, work so hard on this thing to begin with, like, it'd be obnoxious to have one element of it be under the same quality bar as the rest of it, you know? So I persevere. Hey, Darkwing Angel, did you come here because of my Instagram? That's the word, Instagram post. I've been posting on Twitter and Facebook before I go on, and I've been forgetting about Instagram because Instagram always wants a picture, and I'm like, if I gotta take a picture, I gotta go through this whole rigmarole, blah, 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 and I always feel like I have to show off something new and dramatic, but that's not what people do on Instagram. I need to just take it easy and be like, other sculptors show like 1 million work in progress shots of their sculptures, and that is fine. That's the medium, that's the expectation. I need to just do that, but I always feel like I'm being like cheap when when I do that. But I'd love to know if that is actually having an impact. And I'll bet you there's some like back end way of like seeing what the click-through rate on a post is or whatever. I don't want to learn how to do that. I don't want to learn technical stuff. I just want to do the things I like and have millions of people follow me and love me for it. Is that so much to ask? Darkwing Angel saw the Twitch reminder. Okay, good to know. Shane says, very thick, accented, hard to understand YouTubers are okay in small quantities. Sure. I guess that is true. One thing that really annoyed me about the filming that we did on our movie, on our trip, is that I could give really, like, what I thought were great performances of several of the lines when we weren't on location doing the actual shoot, but once we did the shoot, for whatever reason, I just couldn't do it right. Like, any other time I could do an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, but when we were actually in the desert, you know, in 100 degrees, and we'd been out there for 3 hours, for some reason, I did horribly. And then we have this other scene where I'm supposed to cry in such a way as to be incredibly cringy, which I think I succeeded in that, but nowhere near my top performance of crying. Like, I can do an amazing, like, make you super uncomfortable crying scene in real life. I've done it many times to friends and coworkers to make them incredibly uncomfortable. So I know I could do it, but again, on the day of the shoot, I just, it was terrible. So maybe some of that can be fixed with ADR, which is audio dialogue replacement. A lot of movies do that if the background noise is too much, or the actor wasn't quite, or the director wasn't quite happy with the performance, and he's like, can you put the emphasis on this instead of that? And then they'll have them re-record just the audio and just splice it over the video. So, might try a thing or two like that, we'll see. Darkwing Angel says, I only check Instagram once or twice a day, so I only see stuff like that way too late. Except in the offhand that I get it right at the correct time. Yes. Shane says, if you get VidIQ, it will help a lot with finding out who comes from where. vidIQ, I'll bet. Yeah, I don't know what that is. But it would be nice to know where I'm wasting my efforts and where they're getting paid off. Actually, Shane, that occurs to me. If we're doing ADR, we could also do, what would be a word for this? All the scenes where you are too tired and in pain to deliver a good line, we could probably reshoot your head in a nice air-conditioned environment where it's cool, try to match the lighting, and just superimpose your head over. I wonder if we could get away with that. Depends on how far we want to push the quality on this thing, I guess. It's probably going to be challenging enough just to get the Space Invaders in there. And get our weapons to look cool. Alright, Shane, you'll have to show me what this vidIQ thing is. I mean, there are already so many stats on just the YouTube backend that you can look at that I don't, because I don't understand and I don't know what I would do with the information even if I got it. I don't know why this finer sandpaper didn't do a better job getting rid of the scrapes from the thicker sandpaper. Maybe I just wasn't pressing hard enough. Alita, yes, it is supposed to be cheesy. That is true. I feel like there's a level of... It depends on what you're trying to lean on for your cheese. If you're trying to actually have empathy, if you're trying to elicit empathy from the audience for your characters, their performance can't be, you know, that thing where they just look like deer in the headlights reading cue cards. If your premise is this is funny because it's so bad, that's tricky, because to me that makes it not funny, because you know that you're not funny and you're pretending that it's funny because it's bad. It's just it's a different sensibility. I think it's why I never watched the Sharknado movies, because they were made purposely to be bad, and that doesn't seem funny to me. Bad movies are only funny insofar that the people making them were sincerely trying their best and thought they were making something awesome. Which is why The Room is like one of the funniest movies ever, because you can just tell the thing is dripping with sincerity. Like, Tommy Wiseau really thought he was making something revolutionary. Yeah, I'm still getting that. See if this particular sanding pad is the cure for what ails me. I might be able to fix a lot of it just with a couple coats of primer. It might save me some time if this doesn't work. McKeon says, Josh, have you considered doing some Bob Ross style streams? Do you mean where I put on a big like afro wig and pretend to paint on a canvas? I mean, I kind of feel like I'm pretty much doing my version of Bob Ross as it is. If you mean specifically painting on canvas, it's just a skill I never learned, so I don't really have anything I can teach. More explaining things as you go along and why. I guess I do that whenever I'm doing something that I haven't already done 100 times, because just saying the same thing that I already have over and over could get tiresome. Although, I mean, it's not like everyone watching has seen everything that I've done so far, clearly. So maybe I should be talking more technique while I work. I'll have to think about that. Certainly, if you have not seen my YouTube tutorial series, especially Sculpey 101, you should check that out. That's super Bob Ross inspired. That's just direct teaching and all about art for idiots, as you would put it. In fact, ooh, you just made me want to try something. Let's see if this works. Slash dot? No, that's Guild Wars. How do you do a command? Command links. Does that work? Nope. Darn it. There's some way to make my links show up, and that would have a link to my YouTube. Not that you can't just search on YouTube for Josh Foreman, but how cool would it be? Slash links? Unrecognized command. Alright, well, eventually Nightbot will pop on, I think. Do I have to set it every time? Let's see here. Timers. Social links. Edit. Name is social links. Oh. Alias commercial. I wonder if that will do it. Initiating 30-second commercial break. No! I don't want to do that. I don't even think I have a... Well, sorry guys, if that made me go away for you, let me know so I can be sure to never do that again. Still good? All right. Good to hear. Hey. Shut up. Shut up, me. Okay. There is going to be all the Josh Foreman, Bob Ross you can shake a stick at. There are 10 episodes of that. I've heard from many non-artists that they watched through the whole series and really enjoyed it. So that's, to me, that's very high praise. Gonna do a little more sanding while I got this out. Yeah, I think I have to have something set up on the back end for a slash commercial action to actually do anything. Oh, Letha, I had this idea. I've been going through the Cave Shroom chapters in Scarred King 3, and one of the things that I don't know why I didn't think of it before, maybe I assumed I would come back and do this, but there's this whole scene set up between Sinoni and Bowmark where she's basically revealing a mystery about why certain characters are acting the way they're acting. And because my mom wrote that scene, and then I just kind of went in and added this whole, adventure inside the cave shroom right after that, it's the pacing is really weird because it's like talk, lots of dialogue, lots of feelings, and then it's just action, 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 and then you get to the end of the action, and it's like, yay, we did it. So it occurred to me reading through that again, I was like, oh, I mean, this is an easy thing to fix. We just break up all the talk, feelings throughout the adventure in the cave shroom. And I think with that move, I'll be able to probably salvage the whole scene. I'm hoping. I'm going to try it and hopefully get some people to beta read it and see if that does the trick. No, this song needs to go away forever. Wow, this is not much better, is it? I'm really tired of dealing with this base, and I really want to finish up the scars on his face, but I kind of feel like if I don't finish this kind of tedious grunt work down here, I'm gonna lose my momentum on it, and it's just gonna be much more miserable when I come back to it. Maybe it'll go faster than I'm imagining. Ha 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 ha! Get it? Ha 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 ha! Faster than I think it will. Ha ha ha! That never happens. Spoiler alert! That never happens. J. Bucky says, "Will those kinds of feelings fit in the middle of that kind of action? I vaguely recall the conversation, but I don't remember all of it." Good work. Because the action is compartmentalized, like literally, they're going from like this part of the factory, essentially the organic factory that is a cave shroom, from one area to another. There are beats where they can like sit down, they've escaped this dangerous thing, they rest, they talk to each other. But I actually think that doing that will make the revelation that Sinoni gives Bowmark more powerful, because I think it'll feel earned. It'll feel like they bonded through this experience, and now she feels safe enough around him, or comfortable enough to say these things. Tyler Durden has arrived. Tyler Darden, who doesn't know how to spell his own name. Impressive for a magical penguin. Yeah, I got really excited about that because I felt like it actually will not only allow me to keep this crazy action scene that I was sad about having to delete or greatly reduce, but it actually could be making the interpersonal drama more powerful. We'll see. That, again, it's all theoretical. Like, until it's actually done and then like seen within the broader context of the book and we get feedback on it, there's no way to really know. game design is very similar, where it's like you'll have an idea of how to fix something or make something more either understandable or dramatic, whatever it is your goal is. And it'll seem like, oh yeah, this thing will definitely work, and then you try it and it backfires. It has the opposite effect, or just produces something totally different than what you were going for. That's why playtesting and beta reading, super duper important. Too bad it's so darn hard to get the resources for either of those things. Aletha, you're on board? Excellent. Yeah, you'll be the first person I run it by and say, hey, does this seem legit and sincere? I also had this funny experience where I was writing lines of dialogue for Sinoni, in that adventure, and I was doing a thing, which I'm sure there's a name for this thing. I don't know what it is. Like, when people do impressions of accents or other cultures, or, I mean, just personalities, whatever. Like, if I'm doing a Christopher Walken impression, imagine that was good and not the worst thing you ever heard. But what people do is they caricature what it is that they're trying to do, which I think I was doing that with Sinoni. I was making sure to use her speech mannerisms and like peculiar words that she tends to use and sentence structure, but I was like overdoing it somehow. So I'm definitely going to have Rose go back through and even out her dialogue to make it not a caricature of her normal dialogue. AJ Baki says, every time you say Sinoni now I think, why are you talking about my horse? Well, if you would have named your horse Christopher Walken, this wouldn't have been a problem. Or how about Christopher Trotton? Christopher Gallop. Okay. Let's finish this darn base. I'm so tired of this base. For those of you curious, I'm using Epoxy Sculpt, a 2-part epoxy compound that you mix together, and then it acts like clay for about an hour and a half, and after that it sets hard as stone, which makes it great for carving and sanding and all that kind of stuff. Can we compromise with Christopher Cantor? Fine. Although Sinoni will probably think it's weird that you suddenly start calling her something different. Have you seen the previews for that Christopher Robin movie? It looks really cute. Definitely my favorite version of Winnie the Pooh is the classic illustrations from the original books. Never was a huge fan of the Disneyized version of them. So it's really, really cool to see them in their classic form in this movie. What do you think? We're ready for the cognitive bias of the stream? While I'm mixing, I might as well bring that puppy up. Alright. No, Zelda map is not a cognitive bias. Okay. Here we are. We were in the need to act fast category. In the we favor simple looking options and complete information over complex, ambiguous options. Last time we did Occam's razor. This time we're doing the conjunction fallacy. Dun 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 dun. I'm almost sure that the conjunction fallacy is just it's a logical fallacy, but I guess it is also a cognitive bias as well, is what causes the fallacy to happen. But that's just when you see two things and you're like, well, those two things happened at or near the same time, therefore one caused the other. You know, it's why virgins got thrown into volcanoes or whatever. It's like, well, at some point they threw a virgin in a volcano and the volcano stopped. So they were like, yeah, we did it, guys. High five. We figured it out. Trying to think of a more modern version. A modern version that stays away from politics, because I don't want to talk about politics. Anyway, let's look this up and make sure I got this right. Conjunction fallacy. Also known as the Linda problem. It's a formal fallacy that occurs when it's assumed that specific conditions are more probable than a single general one. I was totally wrong, you guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay, I remember this one about Linda. Right. So, which is more probable? The story goes, Linda is a 31-year-old, single, outspoken, and very bright. She majored in philosophy. As a student, she was deeply concerned with issues of discrimination and social justice, and also participated in anti-nuclear demonstrations. Which is more probable? 1. Linda is a bank teller. 2. Linda is a bank teller and is active in the feminist movement. And over 50% of people, when given that question, they will say number 2, obviously, is more probable. But no, look, there's math that shows you're wrong, because the probability of A is always going to be equal to or greater than A plus B. It's just math. It's just math, you guys. Let's see, criticism. I'm guessing the criticism has to do with like how it's phrased and how you can kind of fool people. Yeah, terminology, natural meanings. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Okay, policy experts were asked to rate the probability that the Soviet Russia would invade Poland and the United States would break off diplomatic relations, all in the following year. They rated it on average as having a 4% probability of occurring. Another group of experts was asked to rate the probability that the United States would break off relations with the Soviet Union in the following year. They gave it an average probability of 1. So yeah, that doesn't make sense, and it's bias that we have to look out for. I'm trying to think of an example of this in my life. Where is a time that I assumed that two things happening in conjunction were more likely than just one of those things? Letha says, I'm guilty of that. I think, like, if something works for me, it must work for everyone else. Yeah, according to my wrong version of the conjunction fallacy. That thing about things working for you and then assuming they should work for everyone else, that is a powerful thing and extremely annoying when you're on the receiving end of it, especially if it's something that you have already tried before and then like you tell the person that you've tried that and they insist, well, oh, you must have just done it wrong. Happens in religion all the time, but also in like medical stuff, just like general how to live your life stuff, parenting. You see it a lot. It's all tied back to this idea that like we model other minds based on how we perceive our own mind to work, which is doubly ironic because it turns out the science is telling us we don't actually know how our own mind works. Like, we're some of the worst examiners of our own mind. But yeah, I think that's another reason why politics is so nasty, because someone who has a particular political conviction will be like, anyone who doesn't hold that conviction, like, or they think, if I went against this particular thing, if I was against it, I would be a bad person because I know all these facts about why this particular stance is the right one. And so therefore everyone who believes differently is either evil or stupid or both. Love politics, man. So great. He said sarcastically. Oh, phooey. Working in like where two areas converge is always super annoying. Got this little tool that has this like U-shaped groove to it. That might help me dig out this little area properly, but not so much because this back thing is blocking it. The only way to really like deal with this issue in a like really professional way would be to actually cut these parts apart, have them separate, do the sculpting, and then just like keep fitting them back together. I think the amount of effort that would require for the particular payoff of what I'm trying to accomplish is nowhere near close enough to make that worth it. Letha says, so with the keyboarded, let's see, yeah, I'm having a hard time thinking of an example. I think my brain is fried from giving Trisha's kids pony rides this morning. Oh man. How'd they do on that? How did Sononi do? She like having wild rowdy kids all around her? And yeah, anyone listening to the stream is going to be super confused when I'm talking about a fictional character in my book named Sinoni having an adventure in a cave shroom, and then also talking about Sinoni giving real live children rides. Sinoni was an angel. The kids had fun. I walked a total of 10 laps around the big field with some jogging because they wanted to try. Awesome. Did they all ride individually, or did you pair them up at all? There are so many of them. How many kids does she have? Like 87? Something like that? Oh, I know what to do with this. I was gonna see. I need to fill in all these little areas between the rings, but I don't want to do that till these rings that I just added are hardened, so I don't have to do it multiple times. But I also need to do the little areas underneath these rings, so this should work out just fine. Doing a little dab of super glue, because when you're doing a thin coating of epoxy clay, it tends to want to peel off onto your fingers and tools, but that super glue helps keep it in place. Trisha just brought the oldest 34 kids, and then Trisha rode and Janae rode. That sounds right. I'm not going to read any addendums to that sentence because I like the way it sounded. I've always felt like she loved oldest 34 kids the most, to be honest. Hey, it's nice that, you know, she took care of the progeny part of the equation for you. Now you have no pressure to have kids. Your Baki DNA is propagating throughout the universe. Trisha does have cute kids, but I feel like I barely survived a hurricane after they visit. Yeah, my 2 kids were more than enough hurricane for my life. More power to people who can handle more than that. Man, I really hope my book series turns out to be a big hit, because I sure did put a lot of work into it. I bet no one's ever thought that before. Original Thoughts by Josh Foreman. Letha says, I think it will be with all the work you're putting into it, and it's good there's someone working on the flow too. Yeah, I talked to Jennifer today at work because she hasn't contributed any of her amazing commentary recently. And just, you know, I thought, well, maybe she just doesn't like it anymore. I got tired of it, but she insists that is not the case. She's just dealing with heat and plant issues because she pretty much tries to grow a jungle in her apartment. believe this says, I love Bowmark, Skola, and Sononi. Well, I love almost all the characters, although I think the Rumshaw are a fave. I like their beliefs and how they talk. I think you did spell Rumshaw right. Hey, what a great segue into our Tales from Talifar creature of the day. And that is... I don't think we need to do humans. Actually, let's just talk about Rumshaw, shall we? Rumshaw are awesome. These are guys that I wanted to fulfill that kind of dwarf slash gnome slash maybe mostly that dwarf and gnome kind of a niche that traditional fantasy uses dwarves and gnomes for, which is like the diggers and miners and artificers. They're called several different things because, you know what? Actual races in real life are often called many different things. So, here we go. Rumshaw are nocturnal, subterranean people. They've got mammalian legs and arm anatomy and generally walk on all fours. They have a fat hump that allows them to go for a long time between meals and water. All Rumshaw have a spiny, scaly underbelly that lets them climb almost any surface with ease. Though the warrior's weight prevents them from much climbing. Here's the warrior. These guys are like huge. They're like the size of a rhino, pretty much. Bound by a strict caste system, they have evolved different body types for each societal role. There are 4 castes. Oh, you know what? I need to update this. I decided there's 5 castes. I can do that. It's my world, and I'm building it. So I'm just going to change what it says now. There are 5 castes, worker, warrior, nurse, and royalty, as well as artificer. Yeah, because I want Little Rumshaw making really like amazing, delicate jewelry and sculptures and stuff like that. They're the type of people that would be awesome at that. And then based on the story that my co-author wrote for them thus far, it totally fits the template. And yeah. So they've got artificers too, which are probably very much like the royalty, like about human size, maybe a little smaller, but they've got like super dexterous little fingers. I might even have it so they have more fingers, because a lot of mammals that have fewer than 5 fingers, it's because 2 or more of the normal fingers are fused. So I might have them with unfused fingers. 1 in 10 Rumshaw are female, and their caste is that of nurse. Workers are approximately human height, but more burly. Warriors are monstrously large and instinctually fierce when any social protection is triggered, such as mentioning women or children. Nurses are fairly small, with many teats for feeding nurseries, and royalty are the size of small adult humans and generally stand erect, as you can see here. I think that's, I don't want to just sit here and read you a whole website. You guys should go to the website if you're curious to find out more. Yeah, but in general, what's really fun about these guys are their belief system. I think my mom came up with this. Yeah, she did. My mom / co-author. That they don't have a concept of the future. Another one of these confounding variables that affect their relations with humans. Last time we were talking about Garloon, who don't believe that words should be written down, so they can't do contracts and stuff. Rumshaw have the problem of not being able to conceptualize a future. And their other defining attribute, cultural attribute, is that they worship the cosmic jester, which is kind of this manifestation of their belief that life is random and absurd, and the proper response to that is to laugh, is to enjoy the fact that life is random and absurd. And so they have all sorts of interesting culture and customs built around that. Like when you go to a Rumsha store or a restaurant or whatever, there's a four-sided dice on the table, and you roll it, and if it comes up white, there's white and black sides, two white sides, two black sides. If it comes up white, you get your meal for free, and or you know whatever it is you're purchasing. And if it comes up black, you have to pay double. And everyone just accepts that's what it is to deal with the Rumsha. So one of the things I enjoy about putting creatures that are not your traditional creatures in a traditional creature archetype, you know, like I said, these guys are fulfilling the dwarf or gnome archetype. I like subverting one or more of the tropes about them, just to really hammer home that this is not Dungeons and Dragons with a different skin. So these guys are not greedy at all. In fact, quite the opposite. They don't care about material wealth, seeing everything as kind of a joke anyway, including, you know, starving to death if that's what happens. So yeah, so that's the Rumsha, and they're hilarious and awesome and lovable and frustrating and all these things. So I agree with you, Aletha. They are super awesome. Aletha said, I'd like indoor plants, but the cats would just eat them and probably die. So no indoor plants. Yeah, I guess your priorities are probably in the right place. If you had to choose between lovable furballs and inanimate plants. Although you could do like Christopher Walken, full circle guys. You could do like Christopher Walken and put googly eyes on all your plants, so you know where they're looking at any time and you don't have to be paranoid about them. You could look them right in the eye. Which is, if you haven't seen that Saturday Night Live sketch where he does that, I highly recommend doing a Google search for Christopher Walken googly eye plants. You will be amused. I guarantee it. Come on, be in focus, please. Did I see your small army of googly-eyed pumpkins a couple Halloweens ago? Yeah, those were great. It's a great time saver. Just googly eye on a pumpkin. Pumpkin doesn't care. Doesn't need to be cut up to be a fun decoration. Every Halloween I see some of my sculptor friends posting their pictures of their just like ridiculously carved jack-o'-lanterns. And I'm always tempted. I'm like, oh man, that'd be fun to carve a pumpkin just hyper realistically like that. And then I remember, oh yeah, and then it rots and you don't ever have it again. That's no fun. But I'm sure that's part of the charm. one of my Facebook sculptor friend guys. He's been on some of the late night shows on TV with his incredible pumpkin carves. He'll do like a portrait of insert famous late night guy here. I don't know who the famous late night guys are. I almost said who's the Dave guy with the gap in his teeth, but I don't even know if he's still around. Letterman, David Letterman. I did it, you guys. I answered my own question. You're welcome. I bet you were all on the edge of your seat wondering if I would come up with the name David Letterman or not. Letha says, I have a tomato plant outside that I've kept alive since April, so I'm pretty proud of it. Oh, impressive. Yeah, Heather's got some strawberries that she's actually been keeping alive long enough to make little strawberries. And they're yummy strawberries too. I love talking about Heather like she's not here. You guys do not tell her how much I love and adore her. She'd be so mad. How beautiful I think she is. Alright, I feel like this is good. I think it'll be pretty easy to fill in the cracks on here next time. Although next time, let's see, next time is going to be Sunday. And so Sunday I have an event. I'm going to be at the Seattle Open Broadcasters Organization, SOBA. I've been to one of those events before. This one's a barbecue in Gasworks Park in Seattle. So I'm going to try to force myself to be social again and meet people and talk to them and look them in their eyes and remember their names. Haha, that last part's not going to happen. So I think that the stream on Sunday will not be very long. I mean, it's at 3 o'clock. I usually start the stream at 1, so it can be be pretty close to normal length. But I'll probably do it on my computer because Shane is taking this camera here with him to Moses Lake, the famous lake that Moses parted when he was escaping from Pharaoh. And yeah, so we'll probably be working on Scola. I can't even remember where I left off on Scola. I feel like I was almost done. Was I working on his feet and hands? Maybe I finished his hands. I don't know. Tune in on Sunday to find out, you guys. It's gonna be super dramatic reveal. It'll probably cause ripples throughout the whole Twitch industry as people wait with bated breaths and countdown timers, and I assume it'll probably be broadcast in what's that big screen in New York at that intersection, whatever that is. I assume it's going to be on that. Trump will probably tweet about it. He'll probably say it's the worst thing ever, and then with a follow-up tweet say, oh, I meant not the worst thing ever. I meant best thing ever. All right, all right. We're good. We're doing good. We did good. We did good, you guys. Let's wrap it. Let's call it. Googly eyes, yes. You know what? I have googly eyes right here. I don't know. Heather was looking for these and couldn't find them earlier. So let's see how well they work. Sadly, I don't have sticker for them. They said they're self-adhesive, but they're not. So yeah, I feel like that's probably a pretty good indication of what the book cover is going to look like. The Scarred King. Oh, that's not going to work. Okay. Anyway, you guys. Anyway. Yeah, so have a good night. Have a good evening. I'll see you guys on Sunday. And it will be delightful. Bye, guys.